I have waited for this day patiently. I hoped, prayed, and begged Subra Uda would let my shit sail so that my heart may rest, and by God, folks, she delivered. I didn't expect the Harumin and Matsuri kiss to happen in this chapter, but when it happened, best believe I was screaming, "Let's fucking go!" loud enough for my neighbors to call the cops on me, at least in my head. Anyways, let's actually get into the review portion of this chapter without further delay. First, I'm starting off distasteful with a complaint. This chapter was only 19 pages, and that's including the credits page from Chaos Team, the translation team of these Citrus chapters. And shout out to Chaos Team, I appreciate you folks' work, and I hope one of you guys are watching. Back to my point though, 19 pages of a monthly series isn't good relatively speaking. Most monthly series give you 35 to 45 pages on average, I'd say, and Citrus barely gives you half of that. Even comparing Citrus Plus to its predecessor is not reaching a standard set in place for the quantity of content we get each month. And I have a vague idea of how bad the manga industry overworks its workers, so I don't want to make a big deal out of the number of pages we get, but I can't turn a blind eye to a glaring issue like that, so I brung it up. Again though, it's nothing terrible. Moving on, Harumin has infiltrated the Mizusawa estate, where we learn a couple of things about Matsuri. For one, Matsuri is fucking rich. Exactly how well off Matsuri is, I don't know. Probably nowhere close to Shirapone's amount of wealth, but nonetheless, she got bread. Her crib looks spacious, she has her own room, she has headphones hanging on her wall like it's Radio Shack, she has both a Wii U and a PlayStation 4. Bottom line, Matsuri seems like she's living comfy. In retrospect though, this makes the actions Matsuri took in the first arc she was introduced in questionable. If you remember, Matsuri had a side hustle of sending old man pornography of random girls, pretending as if they were her. Now I had to ask myself, why the hell did Matsuri find that necessary, since it seems like she didn't need the cash at all? Maybe Matsuri's family weren't making as much money as they are now because it has been 2 years since Matsuri's introduction, or maybe Matsuri cooked up that con simply to pass time, as she is an easily bored individual. I don't know, I'm just calling what I see. The second thing we learn is that Matsuri has a good family life. Since Matsuri is a wild troublemaker, it's easy to assume that she have a dysfunctional upbringing, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Matsuri lives with her mom, dad, and her little brother, and aside from her parents being away from home because of work, which is a typical anime and manga trope, everything is ordinary. Matsuri takes care of her little brother while her parents are away. Her mom prepares gifts for her children when she can. Matsuri's little brother Inori draws a terrible picture of their family, and Matsuri hangs it up in her room, probably out of pure pity for the little motherfucker. It's a normal family environment. Also, do note how uncharacteristically sweet Matsuri was when talking with her mother. I'm sure that's something most people can relate to because it's unlikely that you'll talk to your parents the same way you talk to your friends. So in that moment, we and Harumin got to see a different side of Matsuri's personality. Although I'm happy we got to take a peek into Matsuri's home life, I won't hide my disappointment at the fact that we didn't get to see Matsuri's mom or her interacting with Harumin. The former isn't that important since at the very least, we have an idea of Mama Mizusawa's personality, but I think the latter would have been a good chance to see Harumin and Matsuri flustered like we never seen them before, because it's sorta embarrassing for both parties to meet with the parents of someone you're close with for the first time. Of course too, it would have been a perfect occasion for us to see Harumin get a good look at her future mother-in-law, which segues me to the bulk of the chapter, Matsuri and Harumin. So the conversation between Harumin and Matsuri both in her home and outside were kinda cryptic, but here's my interpretation of what it all meant. Harumi's goal was to check up on Matsuri because of her absence from school, but her sense of purpose for doing so was personal. Harumin and Matsuri are friends. It's a given that Harumin would worry about her in times such as this, but ask yourself, why did Harumin initially turn down Mei's suggestion to visit Matsuri? Well, as I said in my last review, Harumin is a person that strays away from the front lines. She usually never gets personally involved in anything that doesn't directly concern her. As Matsuri once said, Harumin is one that heals from afar. If you go back to chapter 13 of Citrus Plus, you can see that before Harumi made the decision to call off Yuzu and visit Matsuri herself, she thought about Matsuri's words, which I'll read verbatim. If she responds with something like carefully watching the game unfold from afar, everything would be fine. But it's almost as if she's avoiding the game altogether because she's afraid of getting hurt. The point here is that while checking up on Matsuri was certainly one thing Harumi wanted to do, she made her choice because she wanted to prove something to herself, which was that she wasn't the person Matsuri framed her to be, someone who was hesitant to take action for fear of being hurt herself. Visiting Matsuri by herself was a step in the right direction for Harumi's growth. She'll never be a meddler like Matsuri, but I assume now she won't always choose to sit on the sidelines whenever something pops off. So that covers one side of the equation, which was Harumi's willingness to help. The other component lies in Matsuri's willingness to accept help. Matsuri is not one to go to people with her problems as she is extremely self-sufficient. However, what Harumi was trying to convey to Matsuri was that her acting the way she acts, shut off and independent, might give the indication or the illusion that she does not need help. I believe Matsuri is a person that doesn't like to be vulnerable around others. We see it in this chapter. She didn't want Harumi's sympathy when she apologized for coming over in an environment Matsuri probably didn't want to be seen in. On that front, I believe Harumi can sympathize with Matsuri's plight because it's something she can relate to, seeing how she lives with her grandma and elder sister, with the latter being someone Harumi is very awkward around. Back to the main focus though, I think what Harumi said got through to Matsuri because for maybe the first time that I can remember, Matsuri was blushing profusely. Matsuri is not one to be caught off guard. It's hard to remove that smirk from her face, but Harumi did it. So as I said, I think her words had an impact on Matsuri. So maybe she'll take it to heart. As for Matsuri, her side of the conversation seemed to hone in on one thing, finding out whether or not Harumi came to her home out of obligation for everyone else or for herself. There are times where people act as representatives rather than their individual selves, becoming a voice of other people. It's kind of like having a wing man or wing woman ask a girl or guy out for you. They're carrying out the wishes of someone else rather than themselves. And in that line of thinking, Matsuri wanted to discern whether or not Harumi was the wing woman for Yuzu and the rest of their friends. Why Matsuri wanted to know this is up for speculation, but given the kiss in this chapter and strong implications that Matsuri has romantic feelings for Harumi, I guess that she wanted to see if Harumi herself was concerned for her. From Matsuri's perspective, Harumi's purpose gives different connotations to why she chose to visit. If Harumi chose to visit because she was pretty much asked to by Yuzu and Mei, then she's only here out of obligation for her friends. But if Harumi is here because of her own sense of responsibility, then maybe there's more to their relationship. So that is the question everyone wants to know. Does Harumi return Matsuri's feelings? To give my short answer, I'm here to say no. I don't think Harumi is in love with Matsuri, but that doesn't mean that their ship is dead. On the contrary, it now has a helmsman steering the ship. For one, I pointed this out in my last review, but I paid close attention to Harumi's outfit, and not just because she looked absolutely stunning in it, I mean, damn, but because I think there is meaning behind her wardrobe. At the start of chapter 13 of Citrus Plus, Harumi was wearing nearly the same outfit she was wearing in this chapter before changing into something more modest. Why, you ask? Because she found out Mei was tagging along with her in her lunch date with Yuzu. Harumi is super comfortable around Yuzu, so she dresses in her Gyaru clothes with no issue, but when around Mei, Harumi becomes self-conscious and dresses more mature. However, in this chapter, Harumi didn't feel the need to dress formally because she intended to meet with Matsuri, someone she too feels comfortable with. Think of it as having someone see you in your pajamas. It's really embarrassing to have someone you're not close with see you in your pajamas, but around people you're closer to, it's not a big deal. So it would appear that Harumi feels secure enough with Matsuri to not feel out of place and dress out of style. And also really take the time to look at what Harumin was wearing, the accessories, the crop top long sleeve shirt, the booty shorts, and the clog heels. I'm not a woman, so if a woman is watching this, please correct me if I'm wrong. It's not exactly normal to dress up that much just to visit a friend at home. Maybe it was subconscious, but low-key, Harumin was trying to attract Matsuri by showing off the goods. I'm just saying. The second phase is looking at the kiss shared between Matsuri and Harumin. Now, not to rain on anyone's parade, but I'm being real, the kiss was not consensual. And yes, while that sounds awful with no context, the kiss was, in my opinion, welcomed by Matsuri and Harumin. It wasn't the most romantic kiss that we got in this manga, but it was the most genuine kiss we got from Matsuri. And let me explain. First up, Yuzu and Matsuri's kiss. Despite Matsuri actually having feelings for Yuzu, the kiss happened when it happened because Matsuri saw Mei and wanted to essentially mark her territory and make her jealous. Second, Mei and Matsuri. This kiss was initiated by Mei and happened so that Mei could, in her words, take back the kiss Matsuri stole from Yuzu. And now we have Harumin and Matsuri, and while Matsuri said this kiss was to shut Harumin up, I don't buy it. There are a lot of ways to shut someone up, and usually kissing them isn't the best way to go about doing that. Matsuri has had too many moments of her showing interest in Harumin for me to believe that she kissed her only to silence her. Allow me to count the ways. Volume 3 special chapter when Matsuri and Harumin fight, and Matsuri relishes in the fact that she found a crack in Harumin's armor while caressing her cheek softly. Volume 5's extra chapter where Matsuri introduces herself to Nene as Harumin's girlfriend. Chapter 26 where we see that Matsuri invited Harumin and Nene to hang out at the pool and she decided to feel up on Harumin's boobs. Chapter 31 where Matsuri conveniently arranged for her and Harumin to share a room. Chapter 32 where Matsuri ends up sleeping in the same bed right next to Harumin. Lastly, concerning the kiss, even though Harumin was obviously caught off guard and was confused, she didn't give the impression that she hated it. On the same side of the coin, I can't say for a fact that Harumin enjoyed the kiss, so her true feelings on the matter are ambiguous. This is why I don't think Matsuri and Harumin will be a couple in the immediate aftermath of this kiss, but the possibility will be there for the future. Now, to be 100% honest, I don't think Saburo Uda would actually show Harumin and Matsuri pair up unless it was the end of the series post time skip. That's just the vibe I get, what I believe, as Saburo Uda is a major tease. Hopefully I'm wrong though. But folks, that pretty much sums up my thoughts on the chapter. I thought for what we got, this was a pretty good chapter of Citrus Plus, and I'm thoroughly satisfied with my hunger for a crumb of Harumatsu being sated. What I hope to see next is maybe something to do with Nene or Shirapon, since they haven't had a character focused chapter in Citrus Plus that wasn't some extra or something. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review, but that is it for me. I'm Satsuki the Savage people. Like, comment, subscribe. I am out.
Tasting your soul, you're not in control, just giving you goals. Scared of your past, the future is closed. The start is the end is a start. They both are the same, can't tell them apart. Nigga, that's cuz the intro was the outro.